everyone, I'm Anna and this is the R5 Leather Workshop. So in today's video, we are actually going to talk about skiving. Now, skiving is a skill that I love to hate. If you have noticed, and if you know anything about Leathercraft, and you've noticed most of the projects that we've done, I've done no skiving. That's somewhat been by design. Partly, I find it a very frustrating skill, and I'm still learning to become better myself, and my skills are not really that great. So I haven't shown it up till now because I just think it's gonna look so sloppy. But also the other reason is, as a beginner, it's such a frustrating skill, and I just find it very frustrating for beginners, and most of the projects I've tried to do, minus maybe the designer bag, have been somewhat simple skills, and I just didn't want to introduce this more complex one right out of the gate with my channel. But I decided that it is finally time to bring it up, and so I'm going to imbue my knowledge and my experience and where I'm at in my journey with skiving as a whole, because I still have a long way to go. So we're actually going to cover 3 topics with this. 1, I'm going to talk about what skiving is. 2, I'm going to show you the different tools you could possibly use for skiving, and then talk a little bit about skiving with leather and show you the skills I currently have. Like I said, they are in much need of improvement. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing you might want to ask is, what is skiving? So skiving is when you take a tool, which we'll get to in a second, and you thin out the leather. So if you have, say, find a piece here, you have a piece of leather, and for example, this piece here is kind of thick across the top here, and you're putting 2 pieces together and you want to fold them or bend them like we have done with many of our bags. By thinning out that small section, it makes it much easier to turn. You don't have as big of bulky seams. There's a lot of advantages to it. You also see a ton of skiving in wallet making, because as you stack the different layers together, for example, here in this one, this is an updated version of the simple clutch video we did a while back. You can see that this is very thick. This one is not quite done yet, but this very thick right here. So if I had skived it down, these thick edges, it would have been thinner and not felt quite as bulky. Granted, your middle is still bulky, but it gives for a little bit thinner look. You see it a lot in wallets and belt making and buckles and straps when you're folding over pieces is where you tend to see a lot of skiving. I do tend to use like a 6-ounce leather for things like buckles and other things like that, and straps. So I feel like I can kind of get away without skiving. But if you start to get into higher, thicker leathers for straps, for example, like in the 8 to 10 range, you really do need to skive. It's just become so thick. So the short answer is, it's the thinning out of the leather where you're going to be joining 2 pieces so that it doesn't look so thick or isn't so bulky, is basically the short answer for skiving. The next thing is the tools that you might want to use. So these are the tools I currently own related to skiving. So I'm going to kind of go through them in the order in which I bought them and how I have used them and kind of where I'm at in my journey using these specific tools. So this Japanese skiving knife here is the first one I ever bought. This one wasn't super cheap, but it also wasn't super expensive. I think I paid maybe $45 for it. I bought it through Amazon. It doesn't hold the edge very well. It does get dull very, very quickly, but it does work and it serves its purpose. It's worked fine for me. I actually did have one before I bought this one that came in like a leather crafter's kit that I bought through Amazon. Don't buy those. That was the worst mistake. Don't buy them. Anyway, that one broke actually. Like the metal handle was so cheap that the metal snapped off the base. So yeah, don't buy the cheap kits. Anyway, so this one was the first one I bought, and I got really, really frustrated with it very, very quickly because I didn't understand how to sharpen it, which we'll also get to. So that was the first one I bought, and it just really frustrated me on skiving. Later, as I was trying to learn the skill myself, I heard someone mention a French skither, which is what this one is right here. And a French skither is good for specific things. Again, I'll show you that here in a minute when we talk about leather. But this one is a little better. This one holds its sharpness a little bit better, but it does still need to be sharpened. And I find myself using the French Skiving for long stretches of leather, say like the buckles or the bag straps, where I need to do a long section needs to be skived so that when they fold over, they're thinner. Whereas this one I tend to use on slight small edges. Again, I'll show you all this in a bit. The next one I discovered was this style. It looks like a razor. It has a razor. It does have a razor in the back. And these ones are used again for longer stretches. This one is probably my least favorite, although it's helpful in that I could suddenly do big stretches without a lot of knowledge or skill on how to skive. My big complaint is it's also very easy to ruin your leather piece. And that's probably the reason I use this the least. Unless I'm using a very, very thick piece of leather, I tend to not use this one. But I do use it on occasion, but it's definitely not my favorite. And lastly, I recently bought this updated Japanese style skither. This one has an angle. I actually really love this one. It's probably my favorite one right now. This one is a little more expensive one. I think I'll have to look it up on sale, right? That's where I bought this one, and I'll post the price. For the price of it though, it works really, really well. It was less than $100. I know that much. And this is, like I said, probably my favorite. It seems to stay sharp longer than my original one, and I really do like this angle on it. Maybe not all people would do, but I personally really do like it. So the next thing I want to talk about real quick before I show you exactly how I use each of these is the types of, or about leather use with them. I personally find that how the leather was tanned also affects how easy it is to scythe down. So I tend to find that veg tan leathers scythe better than chrome tans. That's just my personal experience, and maybe this is also just because my talent or my skill level in scything is so low that I find chrome tan leathers to really be infuriating for me. So that's kind of the short answer there. But I'm going to show you how I use each of these now, and I will make sure I denote what type of leather I'm using. I'm going to start with veg tans. So here are 3 different types of veg tans. These are all pieces of scrap. This is a great way to use up scrap, is to learn some of these skills. So there's an ant there. You are dead now. So the types of leather here, these are all a veg tan. So this one here is a waxy veg tan. It has this really nice pull up. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but it has a pull up to it. It's very waxy, and it's somewhat malleable, but also kind of stiff, I guess, at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. This here is just a standard Vancetta veg tan, and this one is much stiffer. It's a very stiff leather. And this one is a milled veg tan, so it's more malleable and much softer. But these are all veg tan, so I'm going to show you how I would use these scything implements with this veg tan. So the other thing is sharpening. So this is how I sharpen. I've watched other videos on sharpening your tools, especially the Japanese scyther and the French scythers need to be sharpened this way. So I have this jeweler's, I can't remember what it's called, this jeweler's compound, and I just put it on the back side of a scrap of leather again. And then I take my scyther and I do a little bit on the flat side, and then I do right along the edge. I make sure I keep it smooth, and this kind of just cleans off the junk. So same thing here. I tend to only do the bottom one once, and then I just move. I make sure I hold it at the angle that this is angled down like that. And same thing with the Japanese scyther. I just do it that way. Okay. I also have these sharpening material here you can sharpen on. I don't use these a ton. I do tend to use this first, and if it still feels like it's dull, then I go back. But I sharpen with these pieces the same way. I bought this little mini kit through Buckle Guy. So now that they're sharp, now I'll show you how I deal with sharpening these. So for example, if you want to just do a long edge, I'll show you that with this waxy. So let's say you want a seam, you know, you kind of want, this is how much you want skived. Now, people who are like pros at this can make this look perfect. Mine is not, so bear with my skill level. So I would always use either one of these for this type of a job where I want a long skinny piece being skived apart. So I'm going to start with this one, and I tend to start from the right hand side because I'm right-handed and work my way across. If you're left-handed, you would probably tend to work the other way. So I start here and then I just like that. And as you can see, I still struggle with getting all of it clean off of there. Like I said, really good people that are really good at this can really, and this is my cheaper one, like I said, that doesn't hold a great edge. So there I've thinned this out and now it's thinner. So that's using this one. For reference, here I'll do this one. So I'll use this one now on this edge. Same thing, I start on this edge because see, this one is so much sharper. Buying a good sharp one really makes a difference. Like, I just sharpened, you watched me sharpen these two, and this one just holds its sharpness better. I also think the angle, personally, I think the angle makes a difference, but this one was worth the price finally, that I finally spent the money on it. So that's kind of how you would thin out these edges. I find that if you want to go thicker, let's say, you start to get into the territory when you're skiving this way. So if I want something this thick, I find you got to be careful because you will tend to, you're more likely to start to ruin your edges. I'm not going to try to here, but let's see if I did. No, I didn't. Look at that. So there's a stronger one. So for example, if you wanted to like roll this edge, that's one of the reasons you might want to do this one. And you can just keep going. Like if it's not to the thickness you want, like you want it thinner, you can just kind of keep slowly working your way until it's where you want it. So if you want to fold it over, or if you're going to stitch it together, take two pieces and stitch them and open them. So that's using this particular one. Now let me show you this type of skyler with a piece of chrome tan, for example. So this is a piece of Chrome XL from Horween, and I'll just show you really quick on this one. Yeah, see, it's just stiffer. There's just something about it. I struggle so much. There's definitely a difference between chrome tan and veg tan. See, you can see me struggling. So again, there might be something I'm missing, but that's just something I've noticed. So next I'm going to show you how let's use this piece. So with this piece of veg tan, I'm going to show you with the French skyler. So if this was going to be a buckle or a belt or a strap, I would fold it over. And so if I want to eliminate this thickness so that it looks universal, like this is the same thickness as this portion, I would want to skyve this down. So the French skyler goes like this. Now, one of my complaints I have about this one is you're really pushing hard kind of with this motion like this. And I find I have some elbow and some shoulder issues, and I find my elbow and my shoulder will really hurt after I use this one a lot. So I don't use it a lot for that reason, but you can see, so when I need like a longer area cleaned like that, that's when I'd use this one, so that then I could fold it over. So that's pretty much the only reason I use this French skyler. I do not tend to use it for situations like this. And lastly, this guy, which actually I'm going to show you on this piece. These are all veg tans. So this one, and I probably will show you how it can cut too far and too deep. So this one is nice if you do want to do this, but I just find that. Yep, and see there you can see this is, I got this really, really thin. I mean, and it's uneven. This is like paper thin here now. You can kind of see there's a discoloration here, and that's just that paper thinness that I peeled off. And you're gonna find, you're also gonna find that it does that, it's uneven. I don't love this one. I bought this one before I bought this one. I bought these both from Sailrite. There's probably a technique to this style that I just haven't figured out, but this one is definitely the better of those. So anyway, that's kind of my quick overview of skiving. Like I said, I am not a pro by any means with skiving. There is a reason I avoid it. More recently, I have been practicing and working towards it, which is part of the reason I decided to do this video. You can see that it's okay to struggle with this particular skill. Like I said, I avoid it for so many reasons because I just get frustrated with it. It's worth your time. It is worth learning. Some people are pros at it. I've watched videos that are like just with music in the background and they're skiving, and you're like, how are you making that look so beautiful? And mine don't look good. I get so frustrated with this skill. So the video is here to teach you about it a little bit, but also know that if you have tried it and you are thoroughly frustrated with it, it's okay, because I am too. I have been doing Leathercraft now for almost 3 years, and I still just massively struggle with this particular skill, and that's okay.